everybody, my name is Colin, welcome back to another video. Today in this one, it's going to be my ban list prediction for the July 2025/August 2025 ban list. Now, there is a chance it drops in July at the NAWCQ, but it's more likely going to drop in August, probably before Justice Hunters, or like the same week Justice Hunter comes out. That's going to be my prediction of when the ban list actually does come out, is more towards August, but there is a chance it does drop at the NAWCQ in July. So yeah, this is usually my most controversial video. No matter what I say, no matter how wrong or how right I am on these ban list predictions, these will always be my most hated videos on my channel. I think it's just because a lot of people, just have their own personal feelings about the ban list, and if you say one wrong thing about it, they're just going to hate on you about it, which, I don't know, it's here or there. I can see why people are like that, because the ban list is a huge thing for Yu-Gi-Oh! It can change the format depending on what they do and stuff like that. So, but yeah, without further ado, let's get into the ban list, or the ban list prediction, shall we? So, how I'm going to do this is, number one, I'm going to start off with the unhit, so things that are, moving from limits to semis, or semis to unlimited, or from ban to limited, things, the unhits of the ban list. Then, after that, I'll move towards what they're actually probably going to hit in this format as well. So yeah, one more thing I do want to talk about is my philosophy going into this ban list prediction. So how am what's my philosophy on this ban list? So taking on what the format is right now, I think the format is not in a bad position. I think the one problem with this format, however, is goddamn floodgates. Floodgates are truly a problem right now in Yu-Gi-Oh! I think a lot of the bad things that are happening in this format is thanks to like floodgate hand traps, or floodgates in the side deck and stuff like that. So I think that's how my ban list philosophy is going to go, is more towards I'm going to hit floodgates compared to consistency hits for other decks. Now, are there going to be consistency hits in my predictions? Yes, still, but I'm more focusing on hitting the floodgates more than trying to figure out the other stuff in the format, because I do believe that floodgates are more of the problem in this format compared to what the decks are doing right now. Because if it wasn't for the floodgates, I think the format's actually perfectly fine, but I think the floodgates, like floodgate hand traps and like other floodgates in the side deck, are what are causing problems, and why people don't really like this format as much as they want to do, is because of those floodgates. So yeah, that's my philosophy going into the prediction. So now let's get into my ban list prediction in general. So I actually have a list on my phone I'm going to go off of just so I can remember shit. So we're going to start off with the unhits first, like I did say. So we're going to start off with the unlimited stuff. So the first thing here is Unchained Shavara moving to 2. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. But moving to 3. Sorry, let me quickly just do this. Moving to 3. Yes, it's at 2. It's doing nothing at 2. This is perfectly fine to go to 3. It doesn't really make sense for this card not to be at 3. They put it to 1 like way back when, just so they can hit Unchained somehow. But now, like Unchained, even like with more Charmies in the game now, it's a little bit worse now. I think giving them the 3rd Shavara probably wouldn't do anything, but it would be a little bit of more consistency boost for the deck. So I think this will definitely move, especially since it went from 1 to 2 in the last list. The other cards I want to put in here is White. Oh, that's not how you spell white. White Dragon Wyvern Burster, wherever he is. Oh, they're right here. Wyvern Burster and Black Dragon Collapse Serpent. They moved to 2 in the last list, and they're doing absolutely nothing, so they can definitely just move to 3, and they, again, probably still will do nothing. Yeah, this is just makes sense. They're just moving from 2 to 3. Same thing with the Unchained Shavara. And the other cards, they're pretty much the same idea as the Unchained Shavara and the White Dragon and Black Dragon, is Snake Eye. Both Ash and Poplar. So Ash moving to 3 and Poplar moving to 3. We've pretty much shown that if OSS is banned, pretty much like this deck is still playable, but it isn't the best deck in the room, right? Like, this is more of a rogue deck right now. Without OSS, this deck isn't the greatest in the world. It's more like an engine in Fire King, or as a pure deck, it's like it's cool, but doesn't do as much as it used to do, right? Can't play through as many hand traps as it can used to do, right? So I think moving these to 3 just gives it a little bit more consistency. I think Poplar moving to 3 doesn't really do anything anyways. I think if you're going to play Poplar, you're only going to play it at 2 anyways. But moving Ash to 3, I would just like to see what it can do. I think the deck is like cool, but I don't think it's really good enough to like overpower the meta like he used to do last year. So I think these are perfectly fine unlimited moves. Shavara, White Dragon, Black Dragon, Collapse Serpent, and then Ash and Poplar all moving to 3. These are cards that moved from 1 to 2, and now they can move from 2 to 3 without a problem for sure. Now for cards I think they're going to take off the ban list and move to the limited list is, well, the first one is probably the obvious one here, is Summon Sorceress, because it just got the errata in Monster Mayhem, so it doesn't really make sense for it to be banned anymore. It's still like a good card, but it isn't as powerful as it used to be, so it makes sense for this to move to limit now since it does have the errata. The next card here that I have from moving from ban to limited is Zodiac Trident. Why is this card still on the ban list when we have something like Rizal Detonator on the ban list, or that's still legal right now, at least for now? I think Trident is perfectly fine, especially since Detonator is just a 10 times better card than what Trident is. The only thing that Trident has above Detonator is that it only requires one monster to go into, and that's any Zodiac monster, but I think that's perfectly fine. I think you don't necessarily need Trident on the ban list anymore. This is a perfectly fine card to come back to one. Does it see play? Maybe. I don't know if it, I'm 50-50 on it. I don't think it would, but I could be wrong. A lot of people do like Zodiac, so it could see play as well. I did not mean to click that, though. But yeah, I think this is perfectly fine to move from ban to limited. And then the last card here is what the OCG just did as well, is Nightmare Goblin. Sorry, I have to put the mare. Nightmare Goblin. Okay, there we go. There he is. This goes to 1 as well. This just gives you an extra normal summon, if I'm not mistaken. You have to discard a card to do so, which is pretty bad. I don't think this card is necessarily the greatest anymore. Again, the OCG just moved this off their list as well, so I think putting this to the limited list for us also will probably happen as well. Now, I'm only going to stick with the 3. There's probably a lot more stuff on the forbidden list you can move to limited if you really think about it, but they did 3 in the last list with Circular, Brilliant Infusion, and Masterpiece, so I'm only going to do 3 this time with Summon Sorceress, Zodiac Trident, and Nightmare Goblin. So those are going to be my things that they're going to be taking off, so these guys are moving from semis to unlimited, and these guys are moving from forbidden to limited. Now let's get into the actual ban list, shall we? The ban list prediction. So, like I said at the beginning, my philosophy is to hit the floodgates and then kind of, maybe do a little bit of consistency hits to the top decks, but the ban section itself will more be towards trying to hit the floodgates and try to get the problematic floodgates out of the format. So, the first one here doesn't really make sense, but I'm going to put on here anyways, just for future reference, and that is Paradise Smasher. Please ban this card before K9 comes out, please. This card, if you don't know, pretty much reads Shockmaster. So if you don't know what this card does, you can, during the main phase 1, you can detach 2 materials from this card. Each player rolls a 6-sided dice twice. The player with a higher total cannot activate monster effects or declare attacks until the end of the next turn. And then once per turn, if either player rolls a 6-sided dice, while this card has a material, you can treat one of them of the result as 7. So basically, if you can get 3 level 5s under this, you can pretty much shock master your opponent out of the game. And this is a problem when it comes to once K9 comes out in Justice Hunters. That's coming out in August. So I think we should just hit the fuck out of this card before that becomes a problem. Now, you can still have everything else when it comes to K9 or, K9 Vanquish Soul. You still have that entire deck still legal, and it still will be really good, but I don't think this card should be legal for this. This is a card they just banned in the OCG as well. I think in the TCG, we should just nip it before we even becomes a problem for us and just ban it before it gets there. So, yeah, I don't think this card should be legal for that format because this will pretty much revolve around, if you get to this card, you do just win the game kind of scenario. So, I think we should just ban this card outright. So a little bit of a weird one. It's more of a, hit it before it becomes a problem, but I think it is a card that deserves that as well. And Yugioh has done that in the past where they hit problem cards that will become a problem in the future right before it becomes playable. So yeah, I think this makes sense here. Alrighty, next things up for actual things in this format is Harpy's Feather Storm. If I can find it, there it is. Cool. Harpy's Feather Storm. Yeah, this card definitely should not be legal. The fact that this card lasted as long as it did is annoying as fuck. And people, especially the Rizal players out now, are just like, okay, I'll have Thrust. If you ever hand trap me, I'll just Thrust set it and then just make a Castell and then just make sure you can't play the game, which is just annoying as fuck because it prevents counterplay, which is kind of the one thing I like about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, you know, the counterplay that you can have in Yu-Gi-Oh! This pretty much makes it where if you have thrust, you're like, oh, you want to counterplay with me? Nah, I'm going to punish you real quick. Set this, make a stealth, pass to you, and then just flip this in draw phase if they don't have like XYZ Encore or something like that to make sure you can't play the fucking game, which is just annoying as fuck. You know, it was annoying as fuck when Flunder did this, but now it's just more annoying. I just don't like that this card is legal. I think this card should just get out of here. Again, like I'm saying, get rid of these fucking floodgates that become problems in game 2s and game 3s, where there's like, oh, I'm going first, let's get the auto win button. Fuck that shit. Get the shit out of here. Please, this card does not deserve to be legal anymore. Get this card out of here. Next card up might be a little bit weird, but I think should be on here as well. And I even said this in my last Banlist prediction. Apparently I can't fucking find it though. Barrier. Not the statues. We'll come back to those in just 1 second. It's a goddamn trap card, so it'll all be down here. There he is. Dimensional barrier. Cool. Again, just another floodgate that, you know, maybe against the top decks isn't the greatest in the world. Maybe against Rizal it's like good, but this is more of a rogue like counter in the side deck right now. So against like White Forest, even against like the new decks like Luna Light as well, if you just side this in, you're pretty much winning the game if you draw this or have thrust to set it. So I think this is another floodgate you should just get the fuck out of here, because this card is very, very annoying. Sure, it's not the greatest against like Malice, or even you can even think like Rizal. If they're on multiple engines in Rizal, it's not the greatest against Rizal either, but it hits everything in the rogue matchup enough where I'm like, get this card out of here. This card is a problem. It's always been a problem, not like to the degree as like Harpy's Featherstorm has been, but it's still a problem, and it just makes, like, you know, again, another auto win button in your side deck that I just do not like. And again, like the philosophy I'm going with, ban these fucking floodgates, because these floodgates do not deserve to be here, and Barrier is one of these floodgates. The only thing that sucks about Barrier is it can't hit links, but if it can hit links, it would be broken as fuck. But yeah, I don't think this card should be legal anymore. I think you should ban this card as well. The next card I have here is also Different Dimension Ground. This one's a little bit weird because it's seeing a little bit less play. Let me, if I can find the card. There he is. It's a little bit seeing less play. It's not the greatest one. You'd probably want to play these two instead, but it's still a card like something like Malice can play, because they don't really care about banishing. And it does hit a lot of the rogue decks as well. It's kind of the same idea as DBR. Like, sure, against Malice it's not the greatest, but against every other deck, like, this card is fucking insane. Against like TDG, just Reed broken as fuck. Like, Mitsu doesn't care about it, and Malice doesn't care about it. So sure, the top decks don't really care about it, but everything else below it, like the rogue decks, absolutely care about this floodgate. So I also think you should hit this floodgate as well, just because, again, philosophy is hit these fucking floodgates that become a problem as well. So that's it when it comes to the trap cards. Now, you can think of so many other cards you can probably put in here as well, but these are the cards that are seeing the most play right now inside deck, so I think you should just get rid of them right now. And sure, there'll probably be other floodgates, but that's the problem with Yu-Gi-Oh! Is there's 20 million fucking floodgates in the game, so it's hard to ban all the floodgates off the bat. So you kind of have to like go off of what's seeing play right now and ban those floodgates. And these are like the 3 trap cards that are seeing the most play when it comes to floodgates. Now on to the monsters I have here. So the first one is, and the reason I don't understand why the fuck they unbanned this card, is Protos. Why is this card here? Why is this card legal? Like, I can understand like the thought process, like when they did ban Baron, they wanted to give Sword Soul something, right? And Protos is like, okay, give Protos that. They also just forgot that, you know, Banshee's legal now, right? So sure, when you first ban Protos, only Sword Soul can use it, but now when you unbanned it, pretty much any deck can get to a rank 4 can now access this shit, which is very, very, very annoying. So like, and there's a lot of rank 4 decks in the format. Like Rizal obviously is one of them. You know, Mitsu, if you play that in any like deck as an engine, can get to a rank 4, so you can get you to Protos, which is very, very annoying. So I think we should ban this card as well. The fact that this card is even legal is annoying. And another bad thing about it is, like, half the format is currently dark attributes, so you don't even need like another target for it. Itself is a dark, so you can just call dark, it doesn't destroy itself, and you just hit half the format right there with Proto. So I think this card should be banned. The fact that they even brought this card back is annoying as fuck to me, and I think they should just get rid of it right now. Another card here is, okay, so here comes the cards that are going to be a little controversial in my opinion. So Droll and Lockbird. This card is getting talked about a lot right now because it hits pretty much every deck in the format right now. A lot of people are asking for its head, and a lot of people do not like this card. But in my opinion, I think they should move. They shouldn't touch Droll, in my opinion. I feel like Droll is one. Sure, it is a floodgate hand trap. I will give it that. It is a floodgate hand trap. But in my personal opinion, I think Droll is a necessary. But it's also one of those cards that I think is actually a little bit more fair compared to the other floodgates that we're going to be talking about today, because you do get that one search at least. At least it's not something they can just shotgun and draw phase and you just can't search anymore. It is one of those cards that you get to search first before they can actually activate Droll and Lockbird. So there's actually a lot of ways to play around it. Meaning, like, especially since it can't activate in the draw phase, you can do a lot of things searching in draw phase, like Mitsu does, like doing with prayers and like tributing stuff and stuff like that. Makes it where they can play around Droll pretty nicely. Like, I like the idea of Droll. Sorry, I didn't mean to click that. The idea of Droll and Lockbird as a floodgate, because you do get that one search. It's not one of those things where you don't get a search at all. You do get the one search, and you can make it where you can get multiple searches if you do things in draw phase and stuff like that. And you can also do other things because this card's weirdly worded, so you can like activate Super Poly first before they can activate Droll and Lockbird and stuff like that to kind of play around it as well. But I'm going back to my philosophy. Even though, in my opinion, I don't think they should hit Droll, and I don't know if they actually are going to hit Droll, but since I'm going to go back to my philosophy that they should ban these floodgate cards that are causing problems in the format, I will move Droll to ban. I will go off my philosophy, even if my personal opinion differs from it. Like I said at the beginning, my Banlist prediction is going to be more towards trying to hit the floodgates. And Droll and Lockbird is a floodgate hand trap that's causing a lot of problems right now. So, and especially like going second, this sucks against, because if they set up an entire field and you're trying to break the field and they Droll and Lockbird on top of everything, you're losing that game. I'm sorry, you are just losing that game. So I can see the argument for people wanting to keep to ban Droll, but I can also see the argument for keeping Droll. But I'm going to go back to my philosophy of trying to hit these fucking floodgates, so I'm going to say Droll should be banned. I'm going to go with it. Even if my other personal opinions think it shouldn't, I'm going to go back to my philosophy of hit these fucking floodgates and Droll will be banned. And that's the other card we're going to talk about as well. Artifact Lancia is also one of those cards. Another card where I think, in my personal opinion, shouldn't, well, in my opinion, I think it should get hit. I do believe, it's different from Droll. I do think Lancia should be hit, but the thing that's causing me to not say that is Konami actually going to do so? I feel like Konami won't hit Lancia. They're just like, it's only good against the one deck in Malice and maybe Orcus now as well. And they're like, okay, that's the only thing it's good against. It's not good against any other deck in the format, even though you can argue any of these floodgates aren't as good in other matchups. But again, I'm going to go back to my philosophy and say Lancia should be hit. But now this lines up with my personal opinion as well. I do think Lancia should be hit. God damn, I keep hitting these fucking cards. But yeah, I think Lancia for sure should be hit as well. But the Droll one is a little bit more controversial in my opinion, because I can still make an argument of Droll still being legal, but I'm going to go with my philosophy of hitting the floodgates. But Lancia is in the same boat as well. Alrighty, another card you should hit, especially if you're going to hit Droll and Lockbird, is Mistaken. Oh, okay. I don't know how to spell Mistaken, apparently, so I'm going to put Arrest. It's a spell card. There it is. Mistaken Arrest. I also think you should ban this card as well. It is getting a little bit more popular in this format. I think it is a card you should just hit because it's the same idea as Droll and Lockbird. The problem with this is going first, or going second, sorry, it doesn't do anything. This card sucks going second. But going first, it more lines itself with these floodgates where it's just an auto win button going first. It's kind of the same idea what I just said with Droll and Lockbird, where, you know, if you have to play through a full field and then deal with a Mistaken Arrest on top of the full field, I'm sorry, you're not winning that game. And this is a lot more worse as well as Droll, because at least Droll, you get the one search. Mistaken Arrest, you don't get the search. Just until the end of the next turn after this card results, neither player can add cards from their deck to their hand except by drawing them, which really sucks, meaning they can shotgun this in draw phase. They can shotgun this on you're trying to search for the first time in your turn. They can shotgun this to make sure you don't get that first search right. At least Droll gets you the search, gets you one search Mistaken Arrest doesn't, so it more aligns with these floodgates where it's just kind of an auto win button. When you go first, you just set it and pass, and they have a hard time trying to break your field, right? So it's gaining more popularity, and if we're going to ban Droll, I think you have to ban Mistaken Arrest as well. There's also other cards like Deck Lockdown that's kind of in the same position, but the thing is with at least Deck Lockdown, it's a continuous spell, so it plays more into like people are playing more Spell Trap removal, it plays into that, right? While these floodgates don't really play into that. They can just shotgun this into Spell Trap removal, and you still have to deal with the lingering floodgate. While with the continuous spells and stuff like that, at least the removal will get it off the field. And then the last card I'm going to put on the ban list here, I know I've been rambling a little bit, but I kind of want to give you my explanations on all these cards, is Barrier Statue of the Torrent. Yep. So I was thinking, because I also wasn't going to hit Mermail, because this is technically just a hit to Mermail. So I wasn't going to hit Mermail because Mermail isn't one of the top decks in the format. I'd much rather keep Mermail in the format if I could, even though it does a lot of toxic stuff. I would rather keep it in the format because it's not doing as much compared to other decks. But Lingering Floodgate, Barrier Statue of the Torrent. I think if you ban this card, it makes it where, sure, you still have the hand loop, which is still going to be toxic, but at least your opponent can still play into turn 2 or going second, right? Because they don't have to deal with the Barrier Statue. Because I feel like hand ripping for 2 and then going Barrier Statue of the fucking Torrent on top of everything pretty much wins you the game, right? So I think if you ban Barrier Statue of the Torrent, it's a hit to Mermail, which is one thing. I know a lot of people don't like the Mermail matchup because it does a lot of toxic stuff. But you still have to deal with the hand rip, which is, unfortunate, but at least you can still try to play with like a 4-card hand, right? And you don't have to deal with this Barrier Statue of the Torrent, right? Now, you can make another argument if you want to hit the hand rip cards instead, but like I said, my philosophy with this ban list prediction is to hit the goddamn floodgates, and Barrier Statue of the Torrent is a floodgate, so I'm going to hit the floodgate rather than the hand rip, even though I don't think Mermail should be hit, and this is a little bit more like it probably won't happen because, again, this is only a hit to Mermail, but it is a floodgate that is being played, so I am going to put it there. So you can probably make an argument for this not to be hit just because it's only played in one deck, and that deck isn't as popular as it used to be. I still think it's a floodgate that should just get out of here. And then, Mermail is still playable with because they can still hand rip and stuff like that. So that is it for my ban section. There's a lot of just floodgates that probably should get out of here. Now for the limited section, this is going to be a lot of just consistency hits to the top decks that I think you should make as well. So first thing off is Mitsurugi. So the question is do you hit Prayer or Habakiri, or do you hit Prayers? Which one do you hit? That's kind of the idea here. You can limit this, but I think the problem with this one is this already is a once per duel effect, so it already has a hard restriction to it. So my argument is you should hit Prayers instead, because one, this card's really good for them. It's really, really good. It helps them play like around the draw and Lockbird and stuff like that in the draw phase, but it also helps them in the grind match. But now if you put it to 1, they no longer have the second and third copies in their deck to search to kind of help them in their grind match. They only have the 1 Prayers, which hits their grind match really hard, making it where Kusangi has to pretty much add back Prayers if they want to keep having access to this engine. Now, Mitsurugi would still probably be played as an engine if you do this, but the Prayers is a consistency hit because, that's like, Habakiri. This is probably one of the ways for them to get to Habakiri as well. So if you hit this, is less ways to Habakiri for the deck, but it also hits the grind match as well. So this is the reason why I think Prayers is better, because Habakiri already has the once per duel effect. So I don't think hitting Habakiri is the correct one because it already has the once per duel effect, so they only need it once. And if you limit this, Prayers is still at 3, which is still really good for the grind match. And people will probably just play like pre-prep to kind of search this out as well. So I don't think hitting Habakiri is the correct thing to do. I think Prayers is more of the correct thing to do, is because this is more of their grind match piece, so it hits their grind match really hard. And if you want to be more logical about it, Habakiri is more of the newer card, Prayers is the older card, so they're probably going to go after the older card instead. So that's my limitation there. And then now on to the Malice hits. So I will hit Malice. So I'm not going to ban anything from Malice. I'm just going to limit Dormouse, and I'm going to limit the Field Spell. That's what I'm going to do. This hits the deck where this is pretty much their 1-card combo. Dormouse itself is their 1-card combo. So if you hit Dormouse, it makes it less ways to play through with 1 card. They have to open more 2-card combos. And the Field Spell is kind of the same scenario. This is what helps you get to the 1-card combo. Even though this is more searchable through things like Terraforming can search this, like Red Ransom can search this as well. Still limiting this, I still think is correct as well. Hits their grind match they can't just search a follow-up like Malice in the Underground for like a follow-up and stuff like that. So yeah, I think this is probably correct. I also would put March Hare to 2, just kind of line up with like White Rabbit as well. So put the 1-card combos, so Dormouse, and the one way to get the Dormouse is Underground to 1, and you also have Gold Sark as well, which I'd rather just keep at 1, to be honest with you. And then you keep put the March Hare to 2. Sorry, you can't even see the unlimited list anymore. Let me move this down a little bit, and then put March Hare down to 2. I think this is probably fine enough. Maybe they don't do this and they just do the Dormouse Underground play, but I'm gonna put March Hare to 2 just so they have a little bit less consistency in their deck as well, and kind of move towards you trying to get the Justice Hunter decks as well. And then for the Rizal hits as well, because I also think they will hit Rizal as well, because even though they hit Malice and Rizal on the last list, it didn't do enough. They're still the top decks in the game right now, so I still think they should get hit once again. X for sure should go to 1. A lot of people are arguing for this card to be banned instead. I'm not going to do that. I think X will just go to 1. It is a board breaker. It does so much for the Rizal deck, so if you put this to 1, I think, you know, the Rizals will hurt. And I also think you should put Ice to 1 as well. Just learn consistency hits that do matter for these decks. You know, a lot of time in decks in the past, like consistency hits didn't really matter, but in this format, these decks consistencies do matter. So if you put X and Ice to 1, I think that does do enough where it kind of puts Rizal a little bit more down, because their consistency is not great anymore. And X is like their board breaker, which you only get 1 of, right? And then Dormouse and Underground, the true 1-card combos for the Malice deck is now at 1, so it's a lot harder to see them as well. So I think this is your limitation list, as well as just kind of hitting the, you know, the crossover breaker decks and trying to moving towards the Justice Hunter decks, right? And then that is it for my limited list. And then I got one more thing, which is Branded Fusion. Where is he? Yeah, I think you should just move this to 2. Why not? Branded has been doing nothing. I understand that Branded, when they are playable, is just doing degenerate shit, but I think that's more if they just ban the Albion, the one that can reborn to your field. If they just ban that card, Branded is perfectly fine, and I think would be a playable deck with Branded Fusion at 3. But Branded's doing nothing at 1. I think putting it, yeah, Branded's doing nothing right now, so Branded Fusion at 1, I think you could probably move to 2 pretty safely. I don't think it would do much for them either, because the difference between 1 and 2 Branded Fusions isn't really the greatest in the world either. So I think this is perfectly fine to put to semi-limited list. This might be a little bit more of a controversial take, but it's perfectly fine to be for me as well. And then that is it for my predictions. So those are my predictions there, but I do have some honorable mentions. I know I've been talking for a little bit, so I'll try to hurry up here. So honorable mention, the Charmy cards. The problem with the Charmy cards, I guess sorry, Charmy. There we go. The problem with the Charmy cards is, like, my philosophy on this Banlist prediction is you ban the floodgates, like floodgate traps, floodgate hand traps, and stuff like that. Charmies are technically, in that scenario, are floodgate hand traps, but they are terrible going first. And I think that's the reason why they probably won't get hit, is because, 1, they're terrible going first, so they're never really that good going first. Obviously going second, they're insane. When you're going second, they're insane. It helps you kind of counterbalance it. But I think they're just a little bit more fair, and I think Konami is just going with, you know what, we're going to keep these cards legal. I think Konami knows these cards are powerful, but they're not going to do anything to them just yet. So I'm not going to put anything to it just yet. Hopefully I'm wrong. I would love for at least Fulos to be hit. Maybe just like put Fulo to 1 and then keep the other Charmies at 3. That'd be fine by me. But I can maybe see the argument that these cards are probably not going to get hit in this list. So I'm not going to put them on this list. The other thing is Fiendsmith. If I can spell Fiendsmith correctly. There we go. Apparently I didn't. I forgot to do that part. Fiendsmith. Yeah, I think this is a perfectly fine enough engine. I like this engine a lot. It didn't get hit in the last list, which, you know, they had the perfect opportunity to do so, was to hit Fiendsmith in the last list. And I don't think Fiendsmith is as great as it used to be. It's still a very powerful engine, don't get me wrong. but I don't think it's necessarily as great as people used to think it used to be, right? So I still like this engine in the game, and I would love this engine to still be legal in the game, but I'm a little bit biased because I do love Fiendsmith as well. But I haven't played Fiendsmith in a little bit because I honestly don't think it is the greatest in the world either. Like, there are outs to this. Like, this isn't that much of a problem. You ask Requiem, you're pretty much chilling. You Bestial, like in Graveyard, you're chilling, right? So I don't necessarily think you have to hit Fiendsmith. I think this is perfectly fine enough to be legal in this format. I do prefer these cards to be legal, especially going into Justice Hunters, because they're probably going to be less likely to be played once Justice Hunters come out as well. And then the last card as well that I wanted to talk about is Red Reboot. A lot of people are asking for this card to come off the ban list. I don't agree with that. No, I don't agree with that. I think the reason why people are saying this is because they want to stop these floodgates. But that's more of a problem with the floodgates and not because Red Reboot is the stop. That's the reason why they want this off, is because they want to stop the floodgates. Sure, that's fine, but I think you should just ban these floodgates. I don't think you should take off Red Reboot, because this is just an auto win against any trap deck. There's a reason why they banned it in the fucking first place, because this was an auto win against any trap deck, which was very fucking annoying, right? So I don't think you should bring this card off at all. I think this card deserves to be banned, and it deserves to stay banned, in my opinion. But I can see the argument for this, because this stops floodgates, so you should have this legal just so you can stop the floodgates. But as this is still, in my opinion, shouldn't exist, because there's a lot of like archetypal traps as well that you can stop with this card, like Malice. Imagine like doing this against Malice would be insane, which also stops Impulse and stuff like that. I don't think this is really necessarily needed in the game. I think this card deserves to stay on the ban list for sure. So that is it for my prediction. I know I did talk a lot there. I just kind of wanted to explain things. Now, I know probably already half of you already went to the comments and probably already hating on this ban list. I'm already expecting it. Again, this is one of my most controversial videos I do every season, but it's always something I like doing because I like talking about what the ban list is going to be and stuff like that. But I have recorded for 31 minutes, so I'm going to stop that there. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, more content on the channel, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.